Years. Most of you guys want to be parents someday, and imagine your kids. I mean, for me at least, sports were a big part of my childhood, and I kind of have a question for you. Would you encourage your kids to play a sport if you knew that there's the possibility of them having long-term brain damage? This is a question that a lot of parents are asking themselves today when they're thinking about football. Recently, the dramatic increase in brain injuries and recent studies showing CTE in NFL players is forcing parents to reevaluate this question. So CTE, also referred to as chronic traumatic encephalopathy, is a progressive degenerative brain disease that occurs from repetitive brain trauma, especially in athletes. And essentially what it is a buildup of this protein in the brain called tau, and really how it forms is the choking of the normal brain cells, and this can occur at any given point after like the last big traumatic brain injury. And the symptoms include memory loss, confusion, impulse control problems, depression, suicidal thoughts, Parkinson's, and eventually dementia. So here I have an image of three 65-year-old brains. The first one is the brain of an individual who never played football. The one in the middle is someone who played football in the NFL for a short period of time, and on the right is someone who played in the National Football League for a long period of time. So as you can see, all that brown stuff is the tau protein, and those are just like the differences between three individuals. But more recently, this disease has become a major problem in the NFL, and it took a long time for the NFL as well as the scientific community to really accept this problem. And the first discovery of CTE was in the man on the far left, Mike Webster. He was a Hall of Famer, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a center. He died at the age of 50 from a heart attack. And Dr. Bennett Omalu, who's on the far right here, he's a neuropathologist who did his autopsy and found a massive collection of this tau protein in his brain. And at first, the NFL was pretty much trying to get him to hide his studies. And according to KQED, the NFL pretty much asked him to say that the whole study was a misunderstanding, and they publicly asked him to retract his findings. In an interview with PBS, he was talking about the NFL doctors who essentially threatened him and said, if 10% of mothers in this country would begin to perceive football as dangerous, that is the end of football. And it wasn't until recently that CTE became a big problem within the NFL and the scientific community. In a study published by the Journal of American Medical Association, Dr. Ann McKee did a study of 111 former NFL player brains, as you can see in the middle slide there. Of that study, 110 of them were diagnosed with CTE. And the only way you can actually identify this is after somebody passes away and you do an autopsy on their brain, and you can just analyze it by the amount of tau protein that's built up over time. And so this was the first big scientific research, and this occurred in 2017. So pretty much before this, the NFL, the commissioner, and a lot of NFL doctors pretty much denied that there was a link between the two. So this is Roger Goodell. He's the NFL commissioner, and the NFL, as well as the scientific community, pretty much treated the whole issue like taboo, saying that it was not a direct link. And at a press conference at the Super Bowl in 2016, the head, neck, head, and spine doctor named Mitchell Berger blatantly ignored the subject. And he said, the word link means a one-to-one relationship between playing and getting CTE. So there's no occurrence here. I kind of tie this to cancer, smoking and cancer. I mean, there obviously the likelihood is greatly increased, but there's not a direct link. But it's something that's clearly occurring. And in a preseason press conference with Roger Goodell, just a few days after the study of 110 and 111 brains were diagnosed, he said that the average NFL player lives 5 years longer than you, so their lifespan is actually healthier. I don't seem to find this quite accurate when it comes to health, but he pretty much came up with this statement without a whole lot of scientific evidence. He's been ignoring a lot of the numerous health problems that have occurred within players in the past. And the impact it's had on players has been pretty severe. When the studies came out, players weren't surprised whatsoever. Harry Carson, who's a Hall of Famer diagnosed with a concussion syndrome back in the 90s, argued back in the day that his head contact or his problems with his brain were from football and contributed to his condition. And this was long before the CTE crisis. He said that people initially thought that I was off my rocker, but this really seals the deal. This is what players have been waiting for. Just tell the truth. And the biggest thing that's been going on recently is suicides from a lot of players. As you can see on the far left, Junior Seau, he was a Hall of Famer linebacker, actually my dad's favorite football player in the NFL. He played 20 years in the NFL, and he shot himself in the heart in 2013. And he suffered from severe CTE when they did an autopsy on his brain shortly after. And his family wanted to make it very clear that they wanted the league to take steps to make sure nothing like this happened again. Obviously, you can't directly blame CTE for the suicide, but it's something that's been prevalent in a lot of players. The other in the middle, Aaron Hernandez. He was a star football player with Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady on the New England Patriots. And he was on trial for 3 murders. And he hung himself in his jail cell with a bedsheet back in 2017. And other players are taking initiative on the subject. Here, like Chris Borland, he retired at the age of 24. And in an interview with ESPN, he said, I honestly just want to do what's best for my health. From what I've researched and what I've experienced, I don't think it's worth the risk. And today, the only things we can really do is advance medical research and increase medical funding. So there's been some new implements of new hit regulations in the NFL, encouraging players to aim low instead of high, and new technology, pretty much just better ensuring the safety of helmets. And in football's case, if you take the contact out of the sport, you won't have the sport anymore. So all we can really do is increase medical research. Thank you.